Don't be dramatic, my mother snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut skin. My father didn't even look at me when he said it. Your brother has a wife. 2 kids. You're single. You'll survive this. I remember the room going quiet after that. Not peaceful quiet, funeral quiet. The kind where you hear your own breathing and realize no one is coming to save you. I stared at the carpet, at the faint stain near the coffee table, and felt something inside me fold inward. Not break. Fold. Like paper being creased carefully, permanently. Hi everyone. My name is Alara Whitman. And this is the moment I stopped being their daughter, and started becoming their solution. They wanted me to handle it quietly. They wanted me to think of the family. They wanted me to take responsibility for something I didn't do because apparently my life was lighter, cheaper, more disposable. My brother sat on the couch, elbows on knees, head in his hands. He didn't look at me once. Not when my mother cried. Not when my father explained how one mistake shouldn't ruin a man's future. Not when they all decided my silence was the cleanest option. The girl, her name stuck in my throat every time I thought it, wasn't in the room. She wasn't invited into this conversation about her life. About her pain. About the way her world had cracked open. I was. Just say you misunderstood, my mother whispered later in the kitchen. Her hand gripped my wrist too tightly. You're strong. You always were. I looked at her hand. At the same fingers that braided my hair when I was little. Those fingers were shaking now, but not from guilt. From fear. Fear of scandal. Fear of consequences. Fear of losing the son they built their entire world around. That night I lay in my childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling fan as it ticked unevenly above me. My phone buzzed once. Then again. A message from an unknown number. He told me he'd help him fix this. I closed my eyes. Something cold slid through my chest, slow and deliberate. They thought I was weak because I had no witnesses clinging to my name. They were wrong. And as I picked up my phone and started typing back, I realized I wasn't going to take the fall. I was going to let the truth do something far worse. My fingers hovered over the screen, the glow of my phone lighting the dark like a confession booth. I'm not fixing anything, I typed back. Then deleted it. Instead I wrote, are you safe right now? The reply came instantly. Oh. That single word landed heavier than every excuse my parents had rehearsed all evening. I sat up, heart thudding, the old bed creaking beneath me. The house was silent except for the distant hum of the refrigerator and my father's muted TV downstairs. Some laugh tracks spilling into the void like mockery. She sent another message. A photo this time. Not of her face. Of her wrist. Bruises blooming purple and blue like fingerprints that refused to fade. My stomach turned, slow and sour. Downstairs, my mother was probably still crying into a dish towel. My brother was probably being reassured that everything would be okay. That families survive worse. That women exaggerate. I slipped out of bed and locked my door, my hands shaking as I typed again. Did you tell anyone else? Pause. Longer this time. Your parents said they'd handle it. He said you'd talk to me. There was the plan. I was supposed to be the soft landing. The reasonable sister. The woman-to-woman translator who'd convince her to disappear quietly. I pressed my forehead against the door, feeling the cool wood ground me. I'm sorry, I whispered, though she couldn't hear me. They lied. I asked her to send me everything. Messages. Dates. Screenshots. Times. Anything she had. I didn't explain why. I didn't promise revenge. I didn't promise justice. I promised something smaller. More dangerous. I won't let them erase you. The phone buzzed again. Files loading, proof stacking up like dominoes. Each one clicked into place, and with every vibration the girl my parents thought they could sacrifice slipped further out of their control. Downstairs someone laughed at the TV. Upstairs I opened a new folder on my phone and named it quietly, carefully, Truth. And for the first time that night I slept. Morning came without mercy. Sunlight crept through the blinds, thin and pale, landing on my face like an accusation. For a moment I forgot where I was. Then I heard my mother's voice downstairs, too cheerful, too loud, and everything rushed back. I checked my phone. 12 new messages. More screenshots. Voice notes this time. Her voice shook as she spoke, each pause filled with breath she was trying not to lose. I listened with my headphones in, sitting on the edge of the bed, my hands clenched so tightly my nails bit into skin. Every detail matched. Dates. Locations. Lies overlapping so cleanly they formed a pattern. A knock on my door. "Elara," my father said gently, like he was approaching a wounded animal. "Come eat. We need to talk." I opened the door slowly. He smiled, relieved, hopeful. He thought time had softened me. He thought sleep had done its job. At the table, my brother finally looked at me. His eyes were red, his voice low. "I'm sorry you got dragged into this." Dragged. Like I was collateral damage in his bad luck. My mother reached for my hand. "We've thought it through," she said. "We'll get a lawyer. We'll say there was confusion. Mixed signals. You'll back us up, right?" I looked at their faces. Familiar. But terrifyingly calm. "I need a little time," I said. My voice surprised even me, steady, reasonable. "To process." They exhaled together, relief spreading across the table. "Of course," my father said. "Take today." I nodded, stood, and went back upstairs. Closed the door. Sat on the bed. Then I forwarded the entire folder, screenshots, audio timelines, to an email address I'd saved years ago and never thought I'd use again. The subject line was simple. Request for consultation. And as my phone buzzed with a reply, "We can meet today," I realized my family still thought this was about loyalty. They had no idea I'd already chosen something else. The office smelled like old paper and burnt coffee, honest smells. Nothing like my parents' house where everything was polished and poisonous. The woman across from me listened without interrupting. She didn't flinch at the words. She didn't rush me when my voice slowed. She only asked questions, precise ones, marking time, patterns, intent. When I finished, she folded her hands. "You understand," she said carefully, "that once this moves forward, it won't stop." "I know," I replied. And I meant it. Outside, my phone lit up with missed calls. My mother. My brother. My father. I didn't answer. I walked instead. The city moved around me. Cars hissing past, strangers laughing, a busker playing something sad and familiar. Life going on like nothing was wrong. By the time I got home, the house felt tighter. Smaller. My mother followed me into the hallway. "Did you talk to anyone today?" she asked too quickly. I met her eyes. "Yes." Her smile faltered. "Who?" "A professional," I said. The silence that followed was sharp. My brother stood up from the couch, panic flashing across his face for the first time. "Elara," he warned low. "Don't do this." My father stepped between us. "You're overreacting," he said. "This can still be contained." Contained. Like a spill. Like a mess. I took a breath. Felt it settle. "I didn't report anything," I said softly. Relief crashed through them so fast it was almost visible. "But I did make sure," I continued, "that when this comes out it won't be just my word." My mother's hand flew to her mouth. That night, as I lay awake listening to the house creak and shift, my phone buzzed once more. "We're ready when you are." I stared at the message, calm and cold. They thought today was the danger. They didn't realize it was only the warning. The next morning, my mother tried kindness like a weapon. She made breakfast. Eggs exactly how I liked them. Coffee already poured. She even wore the sweater I once told her made her look warm instead of strict. It was all very deliberate. "Sit," she said softly. "Let's just be a family today." My brother avoided my eyes, scrolling through his phone like the world outside that screen wasn't collapsing inch by inch. My father read the paper upside down. I sat. For a moment no one spoke. Forks clinked. The clock ticked too loudly. Then my mother leaned in. "We talked last night," she said. "If this misunderstanding goes away, we'll help you. Financially. Emotionally. Whatever you need." There was the price tag on my silence. "I already have help," I replied. My brother slammed his phone down. "You think you're some hero?" he hissed. "You'll destroy everything." "That my kids." I looked at him, then really looked. At the man who still hadn't said her name. Who still hadn't said sorry. "I'm not destroying anything," I said. "I'm just not protecting it anymore." My father stood abruptly. "If you go through with this," he warned, "you are no longer welcome in this family." The word family echoed hollow. I pushed my chair back. My hands were steady. "Then you should prepare," I said, "because the first interview is scheduled for tomorrow." My mother's face drained of color. That afternoon I packed a single bag. As I zipped it closed, my phone buzzed. One last message from her. Thank you for believing me. I stepped out of the house without looking back. Behind me something finally broke. Ahead of me everything was about to be seen. The studio was colder than I expected. Not just the air, the silence. The kind that presses against your ribs and waits. They mic'd me up gently, respectfully. No rush. No leading questions. Just space. I watched my reflection in the dark glass. My face calm, my eyes unfamiliar. Like someone who'd already crossed a line and didn't need permission anymore. We'll start when you're ready, the producer said. I thought of my mother's hands. My father's voice. My brother's certainty that I'd fold like I always had. I'm ready, I said. The questions came slow. How long had I known? Why hadn't I spoken sooner? What made me decide now? I answered with facts. With dates. Proof. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I let the evidence breathe on its own. When they asked about my family, I paused. They didn't ask what happened, I said. They asked what it would cost. The room went still. Outside my phone buzzed relentlessly. Calls I didn't answer. Messages I didn't read. I didn't need to. I already knew the panic had started. Afterward, as I walked out into the late afternoon light, the producer caught up to me. This will air tomorrow, she said. And, there's more. She handed me her phone. A notification. Another woman. Different city. Same pattern. Same name. My brother's name. I closed my eyes, not in shock but in clarity. They thought I was the end of this story. I was only the beginning. The courtroom was quieter than I expected. No gasps. No drama. Just the low shuffle of papers and the sound of a system finally doing what it was supposed to do. My brother didn't look at me when they read the charges. He stared straight ahead, jaw tight, hands trembling in his lap. My parents sat behind him. Separate. Silent. Smaller than I'd ever seen them. I wasn't there for revenge. I realized that as I watched the judge listen. Really listen. I was there because truth once released doesn't belong to anyone anymore. When it was over, I stepped outside into the cold air. Cameras waited, but I walked past them. I didn't owe the world my pain. I'd already given it my honesty. Later that night, I sat alone, scrolling through messages I hadn't answered yet. Strangers. Survivors. One line repeated over and over. Because of you I spoke. That was the justice my parents never understood. Not humiliation. Not destruction. But consequence. They lost their image. My brother lost his protection. And I lost the illusion that love excuses cruelty. But I gained something quieter. Peace that didn't need permission. A voice that didn't shake. And the knowledge that choosing what's right, even when it costs you everything, builds something no one can ever take back. If this ever happened to you, say, same in the comments.